farmers used to pay the export duty. It was paid. For example, the export duty on cocoa was paid since the year 1909. A lot of these were war taxes. Anyway, it was reduced in 1985 and abolished in 1986. But the export duty was returned in the export duty came back in 1987, not as export duty, but as a 2.5% levy on the farmers of the country. So clearly, the fiscal policy cannot be working. The business levy itself, which was supposed to replace the company profits tax, has been changed 6 times. You can't keep changing a tax like that. It simply means that you're shooting in the dark. 6 times it has been amended. Someone certainly doesn't know what he or she is doing. 6 times. The budget for 1987 projected that $7 million would be collected from a property transfer tax. During the first 6 months of this year, based on the government's own fiscal report, $184,000 were collected. Notice that? Blair's estimated that the property tax would bring in $5 million this year. For the first 6 months of this year, $319,000 was collected. The deficit of the government for the first 6 months of this year was $19 million, the worst in the OECS. I pose a question after we analyze the financial situation and the impending bankruptcy. I pose the question as leader of the opposition to the Minister of Finance. I pose the question about the NIS. The government's debt to the National Insurance Scheme as of August 31st, 1987, in the words of the Minister of Finance himself, was $34 million. Last June, the NIS had banked up on fixed deposit $9 million. By August 31st of this year, 87, fixed deposit was 0. Between the months of May and August, the NIS had to give the government in direct borrowing $7 million. I am merely advancing evidence, practical, objective evidence to show you the failure of the fiscal policy and the state of the country's finances. I wouldn't even mention the debt to the banks. Grenada's fiscal performance was the worst in the OECS among all 7 members of the OECS for 1985, 86, and 87. But particular 86 and 87. Dominica, in 1986 and 87, she had a surplus on a current account of $1.3 million. So she was able to meet all of her expenditures of the government, that is, and then still have a saving of $1.3 million. Montserrat, with 12,000 people, in 1986, had a surplus of $0.6 million. St. Kitts, in 1985, which had a whooping deficit of $11 million, in 1986, turned it around to a surplus of $0.3 million. St. Lucia, which in 1986 experienced a surplus of $3 million. St. Vincent, in 1984-85 experienced a surplus of $1.9 million, and in 1985-86 a surplus of $4.1 million. Antigua in 1986 also experienced a surplus of $1.7 million. Yet we had a deficit in 1985 of $8 million. In 1986 of $29 million, and don't tell me the civil service have grown. And in 1987 for the first 6 months of $19 million, that's a deficit in all 3 years. My conclusion from analysis is that or my question, more appropriately, can be, is it that the rest of the OECS is wrong and Grenada is right? Or is it that Grenada is the object of an experiment that really has not worked? And I think anytime in fiscal matters anything is employed, one has to examine, one has to monitor. If you find it is not working, forget all of this thing about losing face. Adjust it, reform it, change it. As far as the central government is concerned, and as far as the state of the finances is concerned, there are three options facing the government. Three options. One is that the government can be bailed out by a friend or by an ally. One way or the other, it can be bailed out. The second option is that the Minister of Finance and the Cabinet can accept that the policy has not worked and therefore change it to something that is workable, realistic, and so on. And the third option is that there will come a time when the cash flow per month is insufficient to meet the expenditure per month, and the government will have to throw in the towel. Three options. I was told, in fact, someone told me just this weekend, I do not know if it is correct, because this apparently occurred recently in my absence, that the government has sold the telephone company to Cable & Wireless and has gotten some money and is beginning to pay back some of these debts. If that is so, then all that has happened is that they have exercised option one. You've been bailed out. But that solution, if you call it a solution, from my own analysis, would be temporary. It's superficial and it's not fundamental. I am saying I was told so. So I cannot say whether it's true or not. But if it is, it seems to me option number one has been exercised. I want to crave your indulgence, my brothers, a little more, to tell you that in recent times, tourism has been on the demise. If you attended or heard the statement of the president of Grenada Hotel Association in 1986, you would hear him say that during the last year, that is the year 85-86, there was a high level of communication and working together between the Hotel Association and the Ministry of Tourism. Because we work together, we consult, despite the problems we have. This is what he said this year, and it is appearing in Alistair Hughes, the Grenada newsletter, number 16 of 24th October 1987. And I quote, Mr. Ben Jones, Minister of Tourism, was at the Grenada Hotel Association meeting and heard Mr. Sherman say that, with the exception of one meeting, all GHA's efforts to hold discussions with Mr. Jones had failed. Unquote. The tourism industry is an important industry for the country. In the NDC's policies and principles, we speak of tourism with dignity. We sell a service, and the visitors buy a service. We advocate mutual respect between Grenadian and visitor. We sell a service with dignity, and the visitors purchase the service with dignity, and we chat as human beings at a level. And there are a number of other structural features of our tourism program. Why I mention tourism is because it is an important sector, albeit a service sector, but a service sector which, when properly linked to agriculture, can make the Grenadian economy tighter and more well-knitted. I will tell you this. In 1985, we were able to increase the cruise ships call by some 233%, and we didn't get a cent from the central government in 1986. The calls continued again to increase in 1987. Sorry, not in 1985, but continued in 1986. We in tourism have had tremendous problems in getting finance in order to promote and to market tourism. If Grenada and the rest of the OECS, in fact, the rest of the Caribbean, hope to get tourism to contribute significantly to the development of the economies and to provide income and employment, we have to invest in the industry. Not because we had tragic events and people worldwide have heard about these tragic events. Not because of that does it mean that they'll be flocking to Grenada for a holiday. We are just one choice on a menu of choices, and therefore we must market and promote them. And I will tell you, I have, on many occasions, I had so much difficulties that I felt ashamed in getting money in order to satisfy, to pay off our debt to all public relations firms right in this New York. I remember commissioning from a firm in Miami, Robbins Incorporated, the production of material for promotion and marketing. And I will tell you, up to the time I left the government, we were not able to get a cent in order to meet our commitments to the people. Because of my contact with the people, they went ahead and produced all of the material. But no monies have been forthcoming. I have been told recently that one of the videos produced have been used by the Department of Tourism, but yet the people have been paid. So you understand the difficulty we had in getting money in order to market and promote. The Minister of Finance and some of the people feel that you don't have to market, you don't have to spend money to bring people into the country. I don't understand. St. Kitts spend millions of dollars in order to market and promote, but don't talk about Barbados. It's an aggressive industry. People are coming to take a holiday in Grenada just because they like the shape of the island, or because they see Grenada on TV. We have to show the visitor that you can have an enjoyable holiday with some of the most hospitable people in the world when you come to Grenada. But we must entice them. And when they come, we must expose them to our authentic culture. How we lived over the years, but transmitted through through the visual aids, drama, art, music, dance. Show them this is the culture, and use the creative arts to transmit how we live and the problems we have to show. Look, we are noted for some of the widest varieties of fruits. Tropical fruits. I don't call them exotic. Tropical fruits. They're not exotic to us. Not exotic. And no offense to the rest of the brothers from the Commonwealth Caribbean, you do have to. But I do think that from my experience over the last few years, that we have a wide variety, but we have to take it seriously. We don't need vitamin C tablets, and the visitors don't need vitamin C tablets. We can give them West Indian cherry, the best, the best. It is the Nutritional Institute in Jamaica that did work on it and said that the best orange you can get, 3.5 ounces, could only give you 60 milligrams of vitamin C. But if you take 3 ounces of West Indian cherry, you get 1,729 milligrams of vitamin C. This stuff is potent. It is a health food. So we have to immerse the visitors, and we have to market these things in various forms. That is what is going to make tourism integrated in the rest of the economy rather than being an enclave on its own. There are other areas of sectoral linkages between tourism and the rest of the economy. But I stress this point to suggest to you that tourism does have the potential for helping the country to move ahead. But we must be able to plan it properly, manage it sensibly, and of course, make sure that there is mutual respect between our people and the visitors.